Hey guys, Storm here. So this month's monthly challenge is a Bochet, specifically a Bochet with orange. So what's the best way to do this? Do you just use a whole orange? Do you use zest? Do you use pith? What's the part of the orange that you want? Firmly, in my opinion, you want to use the zest and juice. Now, maybe you want to use orange blossom honey too to back sweeten in the end. Those are all good options. The big thing though with omitting pith is you get too much bitterness from it. When you use the pith in, say, Joe's Ancient Orange Mead, it's good because you've got some bitter, some sweet, a little bit of spice from the cinnamon, and it all balances out. If you want to use, say, 20 large oranges, that much pith would make it absolutely undrinkable. I think the pith of anything more than one medium-sized orange is more than enough. So how do you go about getting just the zest, especially if you want a really offensively brilliant orange flavor? You need a lot of orange zest. I usually use 2 cups, a cup, somewhere between those two when I'm looking for a good strong orange flavor. And the trick to it is power tools. So I have got a spade bit, in this case a 1.5-inch spade, and I put that in my drill. Pardon if there's any flashing lights here. And you take the navel of the orange, belly button, whatever you want to call it, and you shove that in there, get it all the way up to the top. So then, starting from the top of the orange, you want to work your way down with the zester. It keeps it pushed towards the drill. So this, I put my palm on the handle, and then one finger a little higher up, and then I'm using this region to actually zest with. It gives me a lot of really good control over how much pressure the blade is in. So, going backwards, there we go. And I'm doing this pretty slow here. You can do this a lot faster than this, but you just kind of work your whole way down the orange. Go a little faster on the end here. And then maybe do one more pass just for good luck. And, that's a pretty good pile of orange zest. Yeah. So with the then zested orange, you can go put this in the juicer of your choice, and you can get a good amount of zest and juice in a hurry. I like a very simple hand juicer, does a very good job. I can go through, 20, 30 oranges in, 5 to 10 minutes sort of thing. So you get all this juice, all this zest, and what do you do with it? If you're doing it on the day of your brew day, like I like to, then you got to freeze it all because you're putting it in secondary. If you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, maybe you put half of it in primary, half of it in secondary. Orange juice can ferment poorly, supposedly because of butyric, look it up, acid, and then that kind of tastes like vomit after you ferment. I don't know. For when I use Lavin 1118, I haven't had issues with it, but a lot of people say that they do, and people whose opinion I really respect say that they've had problems fermenting it. So secondary is always my go-to with that one. I've never felt like making a vomit mead, so let's say you're trying to balance flavors here. You've got toffee, marshmallow, bitterness, coffee. All of these are possible from a Bochet. How dark do you go? That's going to depend on how sweet you want things to be. A darker toast on the honey may be beneficial to do sweeter. It's also going to be beneficial to have a longer aging time. That kind of charcoaly flavor, if you go really heavy on it, after about 2 to 3 years fades. It just like magically, just one day you'll sample it, and it's been 6 months since the last you've had it, and ta-da! It's got this incredible, smooth, silky, earthy, rich, caramely flavor, whereas before it was bitter and astringent. Bochet, man, it's just the way it is. The other option is to do it a little bit lighter. You get these light toffee, a little bit of marshmallow, and sure, that's ready in 6 months. No big deal. I prefer to go on the darker side and let them age. Since I'm fermenting at higher ABVs, that's just very harmonious. The process works very well together, and you get a really unique flavor. So acid tannin balancing. You've got some bitterness from a dark toast. You've got the acidity from, your orange. and you need to make sure to keep it sweet. So how much sweetness do you need in there? You can have a bone dry Bochet, but maybe consider going a little lighter on the acidity. Maybe keep all the zest and then use the juice for another project, because the zest itself isn't actually that acidic. It just mostly tastes like orange, and it's got the oils in it that make orange so fragrant. So to draw parallels from another mead, this is from a few months back. This is my Polish Dwożniak, and it was blackcurrant. I had a fairly short contact time on the fruit skins, but it still is incredibly tannic. I know that I'm not going to need any more bitterness in my acid tannin balancing, but I do have, as always, bitters and some simple syrup to go taste to see, where are things at? Where do they need to go? What do I need to do to taste and improve this mead to make it so it's truly what I'm happy with? Right now, it's young, tart, tannic, definitely on the young focus, but I mean, shit, it's 3 months old and 20 something percent alcohol by all likelihood. Since it was low water, it's hard for me to tell the specific ABV. But I was using 11 with a excess of sugar, and it finished at about 19% if my math is accurate. I'll go check my notes at some point once I'm actually, more curious about figuring out where the things are at. But for now, it's just tasting. I have gone and back sweetened it to 1.035, and that makes it drinkable. It was nearly bone dry beforehand, and it just wasn't right. The black currant is such a powerful fruit. You really need some residual sugar. It wouldn't shock me if I get this as high as 108, 109, and have it be presentable then. But what I'm using is melter honey, which is the honey I would recommend for this Bochet. I'm putting just a little bit of bitters in there. It's too much. The fruit skin of blackcurrant, like I said, is extremely tannic. It does not need more bitterness in it in any way. Doing acid tannin balancing helps you identify where things need to be and where they're going, like I said beforehand. In this case, it's not going towards more tannin. I would never put oak in this at this point. It's got enough. Putting in a little bit of Rose's simple syrup. What is this? Grenadine. Yeah, it's high fructose corn syrup, but whatever. It gets the job done. Yeah, and immediately more palatable. So I know no matter what I'm doing with this, I need it to be sweeter. I think I'm going to stick with the caramelized honey theme here. So this honey was partially cooked in that traditional Polish style to try to make it into an invert sugar. And like I said, I couldn't tell it apart from the other one after fermentation was well done. At racking and during the middle of fermentation, I could tell really easily which one was which, but afterwards I couldn't. So mix them together. At this point, I'm probably going to let it sit for a little while. I just went 2 days back here and got it up to its current specific gravity. I might take another sample in a few months, and I think what I am going to do is I'm probably going to bump it up to 106 and just see where it's going. There's no reason to rush this thing along. It's a meat I expect to be serving 12 to 18 months from now. It's not like I'm in a rush to get it clarified. It's clear-ish right now. It's got a little bit of honey haze from back sweetening, but it'll come along very well. So what other parallels can you draw with this to a Bochet? Well, we've got two main flavors right now. A caramelized sugar, which is going to be toffee, coffee, caramel, and orange. Well, so maybe you want to pull in another adjunct. Orange and vanilla is a really time-honored combo. Orange and cinnamon can go really well. Maybe you want another fruit to go along with it. Orange cranberry is one of my all-time favorite combos. Let's say things I wouldn't do. Orange blackcurrant. I mean, sure you could, but that just doesn't seem great to me. Orange raspberry, sure. Orange peach, not so much. I think the peach will get dominated by the strong flavors of the Bochet. I think I would suggest for a lot of people just to go do this one straight because you've got some really powerful tools in your arsenal at this point with the zest, the juice, and the very, very fragrant honey, and build around that. And then in secondary, it's much easier to blend once you have something that is already starting to develop and mature. Especially with Bochets maturing a lot as they age, with their flavor profile changing, it's very key not to touch them too much early. Especially if you're still trying to figure out a recipe, there's no sense in making things more complicated than they need to be. A lot of really good meads stand really well with just one or two adjuncts where you can say, it is this flavor and that flavor. I taste them both and they're wonderful. You don't need to have 30 things in a mead to make it fantastic. I like to keep it 2, 3 flavors. On all my best meads are simple like that, but it's really, really well done to the style. I'll link a color wheel at the end of this video here saying, okay, here's where you get certain flavor expressions. Okay, here's the marshmallow, here's the caramel, here's the more darker toffee, chocolate, and then ash to the end. And maybe you want to consider doing multiple toasts. Let's say you've got a really dark toast in primary, and you feel it needs a little bit more toffee or a little bit more marshmallow. Okay, we'll do a lighter roast, toast, whatever you want to call it, and see how that goes with back sweetening with that stuff. Bochet honey solidifies really fast, so you don't want to go do your back sweetened honey on the same day as you're fermenting. You just have it prepared for afterwards and back sweeten with it when time comes. It's a little bit more complicated to do 2 boils on 2 different days, but it is what it is. Anyhow, as always, looking forward to your feedback. I'll see you all around. Thanks for your time.